Jeffrey Epstein built a vast system by sex trafficking vulnerable young girls. Imagine being a teenager. Someone offers you a large amount of money for what's described as a simple job. You're told it's safe, discreet, easy, and your life changes forever. This didn't happen in hidden corners of society. It happened in multi-million-dollar homes, on private islands, on aircraft traveling across countries. According to court records and testimony, Jeffrey Epstein did not act alone, and he did not act randomly. He built an organized system of sex trafficking. Investigators later described it as a coordinated operation involving recruitment, transportation, payment, and control. Young people, some barely in their teens, were targeted because they were vulnerable. They needed money, they lacked protection, and they believed no one would listen if they spoke up. The approach was always presented as harmless, but once inside Epstein's properties, the reality was entirely different. And the harm didn't end there. Victims testified that after being exploited, they were pressured to recruit others. They were told it was normal. They were told it was their choice. They were told to bring friends. This is how coercive exploitation works, not through force alone, but through manipulation, fear, and dependency. Victims are gradually turned into tools of the system itself. Epstein's operation relied on several key individuals. Ghislaine Maxwell, a well-connected social figure, was described by multiple witnesses as someone who gained young girls' trust. She acted as a guide and protector before introducing them into Epstein's world. Court testimony later established that she played an active role in the exploitation. In 2021, she was convicted on multiple federal charges and sentenced to 20 years in prison. Others managed logistics, scheduling, travel, communication. The operation spanned multiple locations: a mansion in Palm Beach, Florida, a townhouse in New York City, a private island in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Staff members later testified to seeing unusually young visitors arriving regularly. What made Epstein uniquely dangerous was not just what he did, but who surrounded him. Flight records, financial documents, and court filings showed connections to politicians, business leaders, academics, and celebrities. Not everyone connected to Epstein committed crimes, but the scale of his network provided him something crucial: protection. In 2008, federal investigators had gathered extensive evidence. Dozens of victims had been identified. Prosecutors prepared serious charges that could have resulted in a life sentence. Instead, Epstein received an extraordinary plea deal. He served just over a year in a county facility with special privileges, and most importantly, the agreement granted immunity to unnamed co-conspirators. The victims were not informed. One of them later said learning about the deal felt like being harmed all over again. Years later, the U.S. attorney who approved the agreement stated publicly that he was told Epstein was connected to intelligence agencies, a claim that remains controversial and unresolved. For nearly a decade after his release, Epstein lived freely. That changed in 2018 when investigative journalism reopened the case. Public attention surged. New victims came forward. In July 2019, Epstein was arrested again, this time on federal charges. Evidence recovered from his properties included large amounts of cash, false identification documents, recorded materials, and digital storage devices. He was denied bail and held in a high-security federal facility. For many victims, this was the first time they believed accountability might finally come. Then, on August 10, 2019, Epstein was found dead in his cell. The official ruling was suicide, but multiple failures were documented. Surveillance cameras were not functioning. Required checks were not performed. Epstein had recently been removed from special monitoring. The circumstances fueled widespread public skepticism. Regardless of how he died, one fact remains unchanged: Jeffrey Epstein never stood trial. Many survivors never had the chance to confront him in court, and many powerful individuals connected to his network have never been fully investigated. Epstein is gone, but the impact of what he built is not. Hundreds of survivors continue to live with the consequences. They continue to seek acknowledgement, accountability, and justice. This story is not about rumors or speculation. It is about documented failures, legal, institutional, and moral. The real question is not what happened to Jeffrey Epstein. The real question is what happens next for the survivors and for the systems that allowed this to happen in plain sight.